Hello and welcome back to the Institute of Pop, where I record, release, and discuss music of all sizes and shapes, including oblongs and rhombuses or rhombi, or is it octopus and octopi? And I'm not talking about Syd Barrett's great song or that album by Gentle Giant. No, I'm talking about the album by The Clouds called Octopus, which is now on vinyl for the first time as part of this amazing box set, Retroactive. Look at it, isn't it absolutely magnificent? The way the colors just move all over the box as you go around, and there's this wonderful fanging image of this band in flight on the back cover. Some liner notes there, and there it is, Octopus by The Clouds. And now I'm just going to put this down because it is enormously heavy. I'm not going to deep dive into the full box set because that would take up too long. There's over 50 songs and it's so great. But no, I'm going to go and see them in Sydney. In fact, I snared the last two tickets that were available. I hope you all got your tickets, and if not, I hope there's a second show. Yeah, so I'm going to go and see them in Sydney. So rather than do the deep dive into the Retroactive box set, I'm going to do what is my dream set list. The set list which I wish they would play, knowing full well that they're not going to play every song that I want. But it doesn't matter, you know. I could put every song into a random song generator and whatever it spat out and spurted out, I'd be more than happy. Maybe not the country and western songs, but that's another argument for another time. So let's deep dive now into what would be my dream set list for The Clouds at the Factory Theatre in Sydney in about a month's time. The crowd is expectant. The lights go down. There's the hum and buzz of electricity all the way through the venue. And you can see our heroes in the shadows move on towards the stage. The lights flash up and they begin with the opening song from Futura. Yes, it's Here Now. One of my very, very favourite songs. And in just over 2 minutes, what a great rocker to start the show and get us bopping all over the place. It's a statement of intent, which is suggesting, well, I don't know how any of us got into this place, but we're here now, so let's go and do it. And it's pretty damn wonderful. And I'm going straight from that song into the next song off Futura, which is called D. This has a languid feel to the rhythm section, which floats above the drums and the guitars come on top of that. Beautiful harmonies on this song and the previous song, and a sort of slightly lighter move, which moves us into the set proper. So I'm starting off with Here Now and then segueing straight into D. We could keep rocking out, but I've decided to slow the pace down a little bit with from the album Octopus, first time ever on vinyl, absolutely wonderful. I've decided to slow it down with a psychedelic ethereal masterpiece called Mary Ann. It has those incredible guitars early on, which gives a sliding sort of Eastern feel to the piece as a whole. And then wonderful harmonies and vocals come on top of it with guitars weaving their arpeggios throughout. It's a gorgeous ballad and one which I feel would be perfect in the concert tonight at the Factory Theatre. But we want to keep rocking, don't we? So let's get now down to Penny Century, the Clouds' first album from 1991 and one that many consider to be their masterpiece. And I'd like to go with a song which I am hoping they're going to play, and I think they probably will, called Fear the Moon. It's another great rocker, and Trish's bass just cuts all the way through this song. And what I really love, I mean, this band gets so much praise for their beautiful harmonies of the two lead singers, Jodie and Trish. But what I love particularly is, I think it's just into the third verse, is we have some call and response between the two singers, which just really gives it that extra texture and then builds us up towards the end. One of the great things about a box set, of course, is that songs which have never previously made it onto an album can now be unified with other songs into a collective family. Now, this song was on vinyl previously. It was a B-side to Anthem, and it's now on the wonderful Octopus album, and it's called Swim. We start off with lovely sound effects of the wind and water, and then a harmonic, angelic, ethereal dreamscape ensues from there as the vocals lilt and line their ways across the seas as we swim to me. It's a moment of absolute pure joy. And just when we think the song's over, we find that Jody and Trish go into these reverse vocals, which remind me so much of the last song on David Crosby's first solo album, and the song I think was called I'd Swear There Was Somebody Here. It's a completely discombobulating experience to go through this completely harmonious song to find this really dissonant effect at the end of it. But absolutely killer and perfect once again, because we are early in the set. We're not even at the halfway point. And from there, though, we've got to get our feet stomping and bouncing around. We've got to move around the room like a pinball inside a pinball machine. And we've got to cannon off all the cannons or whatever they're called. I can't remember. But let's get to a song which I know they're going to play. It was a single from the Thunderhead album, and it is the absolute stomping Bower of Bliss. And this might have been the first song that really came to my attention from the Clouds back in about 1995 or 96, I think it came out. Because my partner at the time, she was really into this album and really into the Clouds. And I'll never forget being at a party one night and she just looked at me as she was dancing amongst the other people. She made that eye contact with me and she said these lines. And at that point, I just said, wow. But if I can just return to Bower of Bliss for a moment, I want to mention the insane guitar playing of Dave throughout this song. It's like he's channeling his inner Robert Fripp, and that can only ever be a good thing, as he slices us up with these perfectly positioned dissonant notes. It's a thing of absolute beauty, an ugly beauty in fact, but works so well and cuts down deep into my soul, that's for sure. Following up from Bower of Bliss, let's go with another song of Thunderhead, which I completely missed the first time around, and it was only through listening to the Retroactive box set that I became enabled to appreciate it. And it's called Close My Eyes, which is the opening track on side 3. I think this is just a grunge epic song, and I've got no doubt that if it was sung by Eddie Vedder or Chris Cornell, then it would have been lauded as one of the masterpieces of the grunge movement. Next song in our Dream set list is from Futura once again, and it's the opening song of side 2, and it's called Baby's Arms. This is one of the absolutely most angelic, ethereal songs that the Clouds have ever done, and one that touches my heart every time I hear it. The harmonies build and build within this song until we reach a level of majesty that is almost untouched in anything else that they do. It's a very sad song in many ways about yearning and loss, but it reminds us that while loss is present, the memory of touch may sustain us because it is always eternal. An absolutely gorgeous song. And from there, for our track 9, let's move back to Thunderhead and now go to the single Alchemy's Dead. This has got some unbelievable guitar tones on it. I think Jodie's playing a Rickenbacker 620. Thank you. An absolutely wonderful song. And those drum fills that keep pounding away at us and rising us, making us want to build and build and build and then explode with energy that Raph plays are absolutely magnificent. Track 10 is going to take us into the psychedelic realm with the Eastern motifs of, from Futura, Shiva. And yes, there's a common thing occurring with Futura. It's my favorite album by the Clouds. Shiva explodes like a whirling dervish, surrounding us with a whirlpool of kaleidoscopic notes with an Eastern motif. And then it just lifts us into this most majestic chorus, which is underpinned by beautiful arpeggios on the guitar, and then pounds us towards the outro just as much again. It's an explosive, insane song, which once done leaves the room with a complete vacuum of sound and just the sight of all of these musical notes just floating towards the ground, particulate musical notes, or maybe that was the grunge from the ceiling of the hotel we were in. Still, It's an amazing, almost, what's the word for it? An end of days type of time. And for that, we need something which is almost funereal to take us out. And because of that, I've returned to, you guessed it, Futura for the final song, Bonjour Tristesse, meaning hello sadness, from maybe inspired by the 1958 novel Bonjour Tristesse by Francois Sagan, which is a novel all about love and jealousy and loss and tragedy, and all those elements are combined here. But I particularly love it because it has a mood all of its own. I could really see this as being part of a film soundtrack to a David Lynch movie. And it also reminds me of the work of Ennio Morricone in his soundtrack works. It's completely unlike anything that I think they've done before, and a beautiful way to take us out. That's, of course, if we were going out right there, because we need one track really to get us bouncing around the room one more time, bouncing on our toes so high that we're going to leap into the air. And so for that, I return to Thunderhead by the Clouds, and I'm looking for the track here. I'm looking, and it's not on here because the song is called Blade. And it was on my original CD pressing. I think it was a US pressing, and subsequently was not on any of the other CDs that were available. It was the B-side to Bow of Bliss. But to me, this is my favourite track of theirs. It is an explosion of power as it rushes at us out of the gate with immense drumming to start us off from Raf, and then the guitars just start chugging and chugging. We have the beautiful call and response vocals from Trish and Jody, and not only in that, we have these deliciously ironic lyrics that the blade is something to take care of our body image. And I love this song, I think, more than any other Cloud song. And I know that even though it only goes for about 2.25 minutes, it will just create that sense of power, sweat, and energy in the room, which will have us bouncing all around and feel very happy by the end of the night. And as many of the Cloud songs are filled with notions of loss and yearning, we are feeling the loss and yearning for them to return to the stage. Hope you like that one. Anyway, we stomp our feet, we cheer, we yell, we say more, more, more until the Clouds return. But this time, they're not coming back with songs from the Retroactive box set. They're coming back with some others, just like I can do because it's my dream set list, remember? Anyway, so I'm returning us back for our first encore track to Cloud Factory, the first song, but not Cloud Factory, the song itself, but the song Renee's Problems. Can't even reach across there. There it is. Renee's Problems on this double single. Aren't double singles just the best? 4 songs, and after every song we get the opportunity to get up and flip over the disc. Absolutely wonderful. But back to Renee's Problems. Great guitar interplay throughout. The harmonies, all of this combined make this such an organic sounding song because it's an organic band. And I love in particular the drums that are played because they pop and they pound and they propel us. And then we have these weird sounds from an old Hollywood movie or a TV show at the end. Moving on now to our next song, the second song of the encore. I'm going to the Loot EP, and I'm sidestepping Soul Eater and sidestepping 4 p.m. and I'm going with a song called, well, if you can read that ridiculous font, then you're better than I am. I'm going to a song called Heartless because we're really into psychedelic territory now. This is third eye stuff that Bill Hicks would say really will squeegee your third eye clean. It's a song called Heartless. And Heartless is where the Eastern sounds fully lock in. This is when the room starts to move, and to move like we're on the bazaars, in the bazaars of Egypt. And I keep thinking of where's the cobra that's slowly slinking upwards out of the flautist's basket. This is an amazing, mind-altering, mind-bending song. Check it out. But now the end is near, and so we face the last song of the set. And for me, it's their first song. It's Cloud Factory. This is a perfect piece of pop perfection. Perfect perfection. There's a concept which we haven't explored before. It's pristine, beautiful guitars. The Rickenbacker 620 sounds amazing. The harmonies come together, and it's a wonderful, joyous expression. Every time I hear this song, I want to smile. It lifts me up, and it reminds me that while we do have ideas of love, loss, and depression within our world, and clouds, obviously, there are moments of true beauty that we can enjoy together. And this is the song we're going to enjoy together in my perfect of Clouds set list as we go out and into the night. So, summing up the Retroactive box set, it's expensive. Was it worth it? Absolutely. To have three of these albums onto vinyl for the first time, if you like vinyl, you've got to have it. But I do have a couple of qualms with it. Firstly, why couldn't they have just put Blade onto Thunderhead? It would fit and it would reunite that album as a family once more. I would have loved that. And the second thing is that about a year and a half before this was released, I was walking through JB Hi-Fi in Sydney and I saw Penny Century on the blue vinyl repress and had to have it immediately, not knowing, of course, that it would be repressed again for the Retroactive box set. So as soon as I picked up Retroactive, I had 2 copies of Penny Century. So what happens, as is my tradition, the blue repressing got given away to a friend who's coming to see the show. So I hope that's a lovely entree for them. Anyway, that's it for my Retroactive dive and in my dream set list for the Clouds. Thank you for tuning into the Institute of Pop this week. I wonder what your favourite set list would be, or what songs that I've egregiously left off. I know there's no Hieronymus, I know there's no 4pm, I know there's no Midwinter, there's no Soul Eater, there's lots of them. What would you love to see at that concert? And I hope you're getting the opportunity to do so. But these are just my favourites, and I'll take this advice on board for myself and remember that if music gives you pleasure, then who am I to argue with your opinion? Next week, the Institute of Pop is going to move into the world of 1960s psychedelia. But until that time, please stay safe, keep listening, and bye now.